Do you want to boost your multi-channel sales on the marketplaces like Amazon, Walmart, and beyond? Don't miss this exciting episode with Jordi Vermeer, no relation to the Dutch painter. Jordi is the powerhouse driving Channel Engine's North American growth. Jordi reveals insider secrets to automating your product listings, expanding internationally, and capitalizing on the latest social commerce trends. Stay tuned as Jordi Vermeer shares his playbook for e-commerce success that has propelled brands from startups to Fortune 500s. Remember to give our sponsors a shout, pitchtv.com and contentbasis.io. Now enjoy the episode. Welcome to Talk Commerce, the podcast where we unpack the world of e-commerce and online marketing. I'm Brent Peterson, and each week we bring you the latest insights and strategies to help your business thrive online. Talk Commerce is produced and supported by contentbasis.io. This podcast is my creative outlet and has been going now for 3 years. We are approaching 1,000 downloads every week and growing. If you are new to this podcast, give it a listen or check out the fantastic content on our website. From exploring effective marketing tactics to dissecting the trends shaping the digital marketplace, we've got you covered, and we're here to guide you through the ever-evolving landscape of e-commerce. But we're not just here to talk, we're here to engage. Got thoughts, questions, or you want to hear a really funny joke? I'd love to hear from you. Email me at brent@talkcommerce.com, and let's keep the conversation going. Ready to boost your online presence? Tune in and stay ahead of the curve with Talk Commerce. Don't forget to subscribe for the full experience and share your feedback.
You're listening to Talk Commerce. Subscribe and download at talk-commerce.com.
Welcome to this episode of Talk Commerce. Today I have Jordi Vermeer from Channel Engine. He is the Vice President of Revenue for North America. Jordi, go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us your day-to-day role, maybe one of your passions in life.
Hi, Brent. Thanks for having me. I'm responsible for the commercials at Channel Engine here in North America. I've basically 3 years ago started Channel Engine from scratch in this region, whereas we were already very established in Europe, and now we're seeing our largest growth is coming from and in this region, both with the customers that we get in North America, as well as with the European customer base that are migrating over and expanding into this region. One of my passions is I would say surfing. Did a trip to Puerto Rico the other week, and it's really something I would love to do in my spare time.
That's awesome. Where in which part of Puerto Rico were you surfing in?
In Rincon, West Coast.
Okay.
But also here in Brooklyn, I regularly surf. So
nice. Good.
Cold
All right.
water.
Okay, so before we get started on content, you did volunteer to be part of the Free Joke Project, or maybe it was voluntold, one of the two. All I'm going to do is tell you a joke, and you just have to say, should this joke be free, or do you think someday somebody should pay for it? And as a caveat, today I'm using an API to get my dad joke. So I'm going to hit go. I've got a Python script that I wrote. And I'm going to go out and get a joke and bring it back. So here we go. It's going to be a great one. What do you call a pencil with 2 erasers? Pointless.
I'm curious if this should be a free joke or if it should be paid for.
No,
I'm curious how you automate this, though.
Yeah, I don't know about it's automated, but let's try one more because that wasn't super funny. Actually, none of them are going to be funny. Here we go. I just paid $100 for a belt that doesn't fit. What a huge waste. We better
Should
stop
this be
now.
free or should it be paid for?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. We'll go Dutch on this one. How's that?
That's
we'll
a good one
each
for
pay
me.
for a little bit of it. All right. So, hey there, it's Brent from Talk Commerce. As an entrepreneur and podcaster, I'm always looking for ways to share my message and connect with new audiences. That's why I was thrilled when I discovered PitchDB, the ultimate tool for getting booked on podcasts, speaking gigs, and media outlets. When I first tried PitchD, I was blown away by the results.
I had a 100% response rate from the opportunities I pitched, and I couldn't believe how easy it was to connect with relevant hosts and planners. With over 3 million podcast opportunities, 148,000 event planners, and 31,000 plus media outlets, and 11,000 conferences at my fingertips, I felt like I had struck gold. What I love about PitchDB is how it streamlines the entire booking process. Everything is organized in one place, and I can easily search for meaningful opportunities, directly connect with decision makers, and reach engaged audiences. The integrated portal, ready-to-use templates, and seamless functionality make pitching a breeze. If you're an entrepreneur, speaking coach, or author looking to expand your reach and make a bigger impact, I highly recommend giving PitchDB a try. Head over to pitchdb.com and see for yourself how this incredible tool can transform your booking game. Trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Jordi, why don't you tell us a little bit about Channel Engine? Tell us a little bit about what it does and how it benefits merchants.
So Channel Engine is technology developed around 10 years. We're in the market right now. We focus predominantly on third-party marketplaces to help brands and resellers to list, optimize, and manage their marketplace sales. So you can think about product listings, managing your pricings, making sure that your inventory is allocated and distributed correctly, orders, shipments, returns, the full end-to-end automation to make sure you can sell on these third-party marketplaces. And one of the things that we've seen, especially during COVID, is that there was a big trend going on that these platforms kind of blew up. And that has been part of our foundational success because we've been facilitating these platforms also to grow. Now we have 700 global marketplaces integrated. It's quite challenging to manage and maintain that. Luckily, we do it for about 800 customers today, and that helps us to aggregate all the effort into doing this and keep optimizing and giving more tools for our customers to keep optimizing their marketplace sales.
So just so we can maybe help a merchant understand the importance of this, if I'm selling something in Brooklyn and I want to try to get it into a bigger area or even go across the world, and I have a website, tell us about how Channel Engine would help that merchant to grow their business.
Yeah, so we work with different type of customers, larger, smaller. A brand that is you're saying is let's say growing or in its growth phase. We typically connect through their backend system, which often is an e-commerce platform where we have a plugin with. So let's say Shopify. We take all that product data, and in Channel Engine you can select which channels you would like to sell it towards. Some of these platforms are pretty known, so like a Walmart or Amazon, eBay. And there's a little bit more niche marketplaces as well that sometimes have a better fit. It's pretty straightforward to do this on a local basis. So in the US, you can expand and make sure you can do your sales on Amazon, Walmart, etc. If you want to go to other regions, there are some product compliances and other regulations, fulfillment you have to go through. But then also you can make use of the local network of those marketplaces and the local traffic that they have. And like that, you can expand your brand into also other regions.
So one of the biggest ones out there, or the biggest one, is Amazon, right? So how does Channel Engine interact with Amazon?
So we have an API-based integration that where we can basically plug into the backend of Amazon. It's very important that to understand we know the product hierarchies and structures and also requirements for the content. So we load all those requirements into Channel Engine. When someone tries to publish their products, Channel Engine knows those restrictions and makes sure that you have tools to manipulate your data in order to make sure it fits that marketplace. And also the categories and the country that you're selling it into. That makes it very easy to not have to recreate content, upload a feed, and do a lot of manual work with trying to maintain your content and uploading new products. It is a semi-automated process. as well as making sure that then all your orders come in and we can directly push them back to that Shopify platform, for example, to make sure that the fulfillment is done by your existing warehouse or 3PL solution.
So, like, if I'm a hybrid seller, how does that help me as a merchant by selling on Amazon and using your system?
Yeah, so what's good to understand is you have Amazon 1P or the vendor model, and you have Amazon seller, the 3P model. So what I've said so far is mostly the 3P model, where you sell on Amazon, you're the seller of record, and you determine everything, how it's sold, for what price, you get the order, and you fulfill it. Now, there's also something which is a little bit more that was there before. So how a regular retailer works is the vendor model, where you sell it to Amazon, and Amazon is going to sell it for you. Now, in that model, Amazon has also launched these similar API features that they saw to be very successful in the marketplace model. They expanded that to the vendor model. So that's also something we launched in the past months. So we have a way to also optimize, manage, and very easily distribute your product content onto Amazon vendor, which is usually a very big challenge. Again, a lot of manual work. You don't know the restrictions. You get the error codes in a file that you don't understand, and that process is also partially automated by Channel Engine's capabilities and APIs. Hybrid selling is then the combination, and this is one of the biggest trends that we're currently seeing in the market. Actually, in the past 2 years, it grew to 78% of the brands actually selling hybrid, so both 1P and 3P. The advantage to this is that it gives brands more control of selling certain products to Amazon, because the vendor manager and the deals that went well, it makes for the P&L, it makes sense to sell it, to have it sold by Amazon. But some products, it doesn't fit that bucket. It doesn't fit the pricing. It doesn't fit those negotiations. Or it is simply like overstock that you have and you want to sell it somehow anyway. You can sell it 3P, as well as new products. You could test 3P, or when Amazon didn't want to buy or stock up enough, you could be the fallback, right? If Amazon gets out of stock, you could still ship it from your own warehouse. So that's a little bit of and around hybrid selling.
I think the market is becoming, or is, very competitive, and there's been other systems that help clients get their products into channels. What distinguishes Channel Engine from some of the competitors?
Most of our competitors, I don't always see them as competitors, because they usually do it as a service. So it is people that are manipulating feeds or recreating templates, usually in PIMs, which still cost a lot of manual labor. What we aim to do is automate it. So we set up rules in our backend that if something from the brand is a certain way, then you confirm it or manipulate it to make it fit to Amazon's way. That automation is usually perceived as one of the biggest benefits, together with the UI UX, where we try to create a platform that can be used and should be used by the brand itself, and giving control in their hands, as opposed to a more complicated or not even able to use platform. And typically, the last thing we distinguish ourselves in is our support. We're still a mid-sized company that we know our customers, and for the ones that have issues, we very quickly can escalate and can jump in and make sure that they are supported really well.
I know that we were talking about Amazon earlier. Do you plan, or does Channel Engine plan on having retail as part of that, as part of the mix?
That's a good question. More and more, yes. So our core has always been marketplaces, so the third-party sales channels. The further we see those retailers develop their technology, the more we also see that we should be close to it. Also, the further we develop our technology, it gets closer to that space. So for instance, we're launching a feed manager where you can manipulate your feeds in any way you would like. So even if it's a very traditional platform or place you would like to sell, you can still confirm your feed with those tools we use for those other channels. You can also confirm it in a way to make sure it fits whatever location you would like to send that feed to.
Is there a downside?
So long story
No.
short, yes, we're getting towards that space.
Is there a downside for a merchant to want to get as many channels as possible for their products?
Yeah, that has a lot to do with strategy. So what is the reason why you're doing marketplaces? That could be as simple as I want to grow my revenue, but it could also be I'm trying to expand my brand presence or improve my profits. Those are three different ways to tackle the market, and each reason has a also different approach, and that is something that you have to take into account with your marketplace strategy. And often it might sound weird from a company that wants to do as many channels as possible. Often we do recommend to not publish all your products on all marketplaces you can get your hands on, because that could also it could be hurtful for your profit, or it could cannibalize your .com sales. So it's all about like, what would you like to do? Would you like to start expanding to Europe? Then yeah, there's a good way to do that. Whereas if you want to optimize your profits, then maybe switching from 1P to 3P on Amazon could be beneficial because you have higher or lower costs, or you pay to Amazon. So it's all about the strategy.
You had mentioned workflows and automations. Is there efficiencies that customers see, like they're just going to Amazon in terms of how they get their product out, their logistics, things like that, that Channel Engine offers?
Yeah, it's a lot around that. In basically managing your product catalog in bulk, usually you go in a product one by one. Think about, you want to do a price change to all your products in a certain category because your margins aren't where they need to be. That could be a lot of work, where you either manually upload a feed or you go into Amazon and change all of it. You can set promotions from or to a certain time. That is also very cumbersome to do it in the back end of Amazon. So this is just pricing, right? Think about also optimizing your content, adding more to it, and then also the whole part about reporting and analytics and knowing what's happening. We also have buy box data where you can see other companies are trying to sell your products or trying to sell the same products that you are selling. All this data and all these automations are going to optimize it in the long run. One of the biggest things we launched is to create virtual bundles, and now you can create it with AI, where you can recreate two products to become one. And this has been a tremendous positive impact for our customers to increase their average order value. And yeah, that's of course really important for a lot of customers because it also improves profit.
Is there an ideal client that works well with you? Is there a threshold in terms of sales or volume that seems to make sense?
Often we do see like we're working with companies that are somewhat established. So usually it's companies that do a total revenue of more than 10 million, or at least the marketplace revenue that do at least 1 million, or companies that are trending towards that, right? But it's companies that have either already established somewhat or are growing really fast and are willing to invest. Mostly it is because our platform is more advanced than others. So there is a lot of tools and you can optimize your sales a lot and you can go to a lot of channels. But it is an investment to make sure you do that, right? So that's why there's usually a minimum threshold. We have not seen a maximum threshold. We work with the largest companies in the world. We have multiple Fortune 500 companies that we currently work with to do this.
We haven't talked much about social commerce. I know that Shopify lets you check out on Facebook or whatever. Like, there's so much happening in the social media world where the brands, TikTok and the platforms are becoming sort of pseudo commerce engines. How is Channel Engine tackling that?
Yeah, we actually see these platforms also becoming marketplaces. So one of the trends we saw in the past years is these retailers like Macy's, Belk, Best Buy, The Bay, they all became marketplaces because they saw like, hey, we can very simply get a cut of stuff that we're selling without having to actually do the work that much, right? Because it's just people that buy stuff on our platform and we get a 15, 20% of it. Social commerce platforms are seeing the same thing and they are jumping on the same train. So TikTok last year or 2022, I believe they launched their social commerce, which means or TikTok Shop, it's called, where you can purchase the products that are promoted on TikTok. You can now directly purchase it on TikTok. They doubled down on it, where they actually deprecated some integrations that you are not able to get that purchase towards your Shopify or towards Amazon. Like they deprecated those integrations to stimulate purchases on their platform. And now Meta, they're slightly after the fact, but they also launched their Meta shopping late last year. And this year, they're also going to double down on it. I don't know if they also are looking to deprecate those kind of integrations with Shopify, but it is of course a trend that they're all trying to maximize the revenue or the purchases that go through that platform. Think even about the payments, right? Everyone gets a cut of every payment, and those cuts are pretty severe. So I think everyone wants to have their transactions on their platform.
How about if we look at just if I'm a merchant, I'm selling in Midwest or the middle of the U.S. and I want to get into Mexico, how does it look now for people that want to grow outside their country they're in, not just outside their local region, but outside of the country?
Yeah, so in the country, it's pretty straightforward. It's just fulfillment that you need to do well or set up the shipping templates correctly. Then if you look at, let's say, there's something called cross-border. It happens in Europe a lot and here a little bit. So think about, Canada is usually a good first market to go to because it's very similar target audience for the products that are sold in the US. Those marketplaces that you can go on, Best Buy, Walmart, eBay, Amazon, of course, The Bay, Reitman, like there's a decent amount of channels in Canada. You can actually sell on those platforms whilst with your US entity, ship it to Canada, as long as you have some form of return address or location or partner in Canada. So we also work with some of those partners to make sure our US customers can ship it to Canada, whilst the return location is also in Canada, because that's one of the requirements of those marketplaces.
Are you seeing opportunities for vendors in Mexico to sell directly to the US and Canada?
So with Mexico, we are seeing some larger brands, especially in consumer electronics, that are evaluating the Mexican market, because the quality of the products is sometimes a problem with local products there. You have the largest platform is actually Mercado Libre in Mexico, so people can sell to there, and they have a cross-border program as well. So similar to Canada, actually Mercado Libre, they have a whole program for it that they handle everything. That we do also work with, and Walmart is there also, and Amazon of course is there also. So those are the top three, I would say, in Mexico. From Mexico to the US, honestly, I haven't seen that too much yet. Yeah, I'm not sure the reason. I'm sure there are companies that do that or want that, but usually when that happens, they use a local distributor. That's also historically, like people sell in Mexico through local distributors, and that local distributor has a contract and or a license, and they can sell everything, right? So that's the traditional model that now some larger companies are trying to go around or work with, to not have to give both the distributor, the wholesaler, the retailer, the marketplace, everyone gets a cut, and then at the end of the line, the brand doesn't get it or doesn't get enough profits, right?
Do you think that this is going to accelerate now as we go into the rest of 2024 and 2025? What are your predictions coming up now for e-commerce and multi-channel selling?
We see the economy very related to e-commerce, obviously, and it has a lot to do with purchase power. People buy a lot, or they're more consuming if it goes well with the economy or with their finances, and that has been a bit of a challenge in the past, I would say, year. So the brands thought a lot of people were continuing to buy a lot. There was a supply chain issue in, I think, 2022. So we call it that was understock. And then last year, 2023, there was a lot of overstock. So people had too many products, or brands had them, right? That's why you'll see a lot of discounted things right now. Personally, I see that later in 2024, early 2025, the economy will make some positive strides. And I do think that is going to work in the favor of these online retailers or online platforms or online sales.
I see Channel Engine at all the conferences, and you guys always have the great tins of Stroop waffles. Is there a good vendor for Stroop waffles in the U.S. that we don't have to go to a conference to go to your table or your booth and get a tin of Stroop waffles?
Honestly, I did my research. We tried to buy them in the U.S. and it did not work out. We did not get the quality that we wanted. So we import them from the Netherlands. I believe there are importers. There's websites you can buy Dutch products in the US. You'd have to buy them in bulk, but probably the easiest is to come to our booth at one of the conferences.
Why do you think that there's more than one competitor coming out of the Netherlands for this type of business? Is it just because the Netherlands is kind of central to Europe and you're a hub for commerce, and Channel Engine is just a natural outlet of what the Dutch are already doing in terms of commerce?
So I think it's a few things. One is the Dutch historically have always been pioneers. It's also if you look at tech innovation, the Netherlands is basically set as the most advantageous place for startups to develop. So there's a lot of government stimulations or a lot of environment. There's a really good technical university where also our founder and CEO is from. So it's really a startup, scale up tech culture that happens a lot in the Netherlands. So that's one. Secondly, e-commerce in the Netherlands is very, very far developed, and that's just shows. It's also a smaller country, right? So it's easier to just purchase products. You can ship it everywhere. It's also a hub for logistics very often. So the Netherlands is often used as the logistical hub for the rest of Europe because of the big port in Rotterdam. And lastly, we have, and you can also see that we actually have a Dutch type of Amazon, which is called bol.com. And bol.com is a platform that currently is still larger than Amazon in the Netherlands specifically. So you see that diversity that also was needed. It was needed that platforms like us started, because otherwise you couldn't sell on these kind of platforms or multiple platforms at the same time.
No, that's great. Thank you. So Jordi, as we close out the podcast, I give our guests a chance to do a shameless plug about anything you want. You can promote anything you'd like. What would you like to plug today?
Oh, that was unexpected. I think, in general, I like working with some of the marketplace teams. So I would almost give a shout out to the Macy's team. Like, those are some marketplaces are tougher to work with, and some are very fun and good to work with. Teams like the Macy's team are really good, but of course there's a lot more of these teams that support us really well, and in return we can help our customers to go live quickly on these marketplaces. And so these are some exciting things.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jordi Vermeer. No relation to the painter, or there may be a relation to the painter. That'll be in the next episode. It's been great to have you on the show today. You're the Vice President of Revenue for North America for Channel Engine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brent.
Talk Commerce is a production of Content Basis, LLC. For more creative content, go to contentbasis.io.